Good morning all of you. Today we are going to discuss about very important topic of a C program. If you want to write a C program, you need to follow the structure of a C program. Without structure, without following structure, we cannot write a C program. So if you want to write any program by using C programming language, that program must follow the following structure. Okay, shall we start? Yes, structure of a C program contains the following sections. First one is document section. Linking section. Definition section. Global declaration section. Main function section. Open curly brace, it is followed by closure curly brace. Here every function body contains two things: declaration part executable part. Here you can write user defined function definition, open curly brace, close curly brace. Again, this contains declaration part, executable part. So, structure of a C program contains number of sections like this. Among these number of sections, few sections are mandatory and a few sections are not mandatory. So in this class, we are going to discuss about which sections are mandatory and one example to write a C program. Okay? So it starts with the first section. What is meant by document section? I told you clearly, in all these sections, few sections are mandatory and a few sections are not mandatory. First one is document session. Document session is not mandatory. First point, everyone should understand. Document session is not mandatory in every C program. While writing C program, no need to use document session. Document session is not mandatory. What the document session contains? What the document session contains? The name itself represents documentation, correct or not? Yes. Document session contains documentation. Documentation in the sense some information, any information, some information about what? Document session contains information about the program. In document session, you can write some description, some information about the program and about the author. Author means the person who is writing the program is called author. So in document session, we can write documentation. Documentation is some information about the program and also about the author. Author means the person who is writing the program. Document session is not mandatory but recommended to use document session in every C program. Yes, as a good programmer, you need to use document session because it tells about the program, what we are going to do in the program. Suppose I am going to write a program to find a factorial of a given number, So in documentation, what I can write? This program going to find the factorial of a given number means it gives information about the program. Yes, as a good programmer, we need to use documentation. It is not mandatory but recommended to use the documentation in every C program. Documentation is also called as comment section. Documentation is also called as comment section, comment, C-O-M-M-E-N-T, comment section. Documentation is also called as comment section. In every C program, we can use two types of comments. In every C program, we can use two types of comments. Single line comment, multiple line comment, multiple line comment. Suppose if your documentation contains only one line of information, then you can use single line comment section. Single line comment section starts with the double slash. After double slash, you can write some information about the program or about the author in a single line. So if your documentation contains only one line, then you can use single line comment section. Suppose my documentation contains more than one line, means multiple lines. If your documentation contains multiple lines, then you can use multiple line comment section. Multiple line comment section starts with slash star, some information in multiple lines, finally ends with star slash. Slash star followed by star slash. Suppose I am going to use only one, understood? Single line comment section starts with the double slash, multiple line comment section starts with the slash star followed by star slash. For example, sir, my documentation contains only one line. Suppose addition of two numbers, Here, it contains only one line of documentation, right? So for this one line of comment, what we can use? Single line commentation starts with the double slash. Correct or not? Sir, my doubt is, for one line of comment, can I use multiple line comment section? Yes, obviously you can use. So this one line of comment or documentation can be placed between slash star and star slash. No problem. It is also correct representation. Suppose my documentation contains multiple lines. For example, addition of two numbers, author name, XYZ, date, 25th, 24th, 12, 2020. So here, this total is called documentation. Documentation contains documentation about the program or about the author. So for these multiple lines, I told you, if your documentation contains multiple lines, then you can use a multiple line comment section. Multiple line comment section starts with the slash star and ends with the star slash. You need to use like this: slash star ends with the star slash. Sir, for these three lines of documentation, can I use single line comment section? Yes. For example, for first line you can use a single line, second line you can use single line, double slash like this. Yes. 3 single line comments you can use. Or you can place these multiple lines in multiple line commentation, which starts with slash star and followed by star slash. This is called document section. Finally, I am telling you again, very important topic. Please listen, please follow this video, okay? Document section is not mandatory, but recommended by the experts. Recommended to use documentation in every C program. Documentation contains documentation about the program or about the author. Documentation is also called as comment section. Documentation is also called as comment section. There are two types of comments we can use in every C program: single line comment section, multiple line comment section. Single line comment section means if your documentation contains only one line, then you can use single line comment section. Single line comment section starts with the double slash. Suppose if your documentation contains multiple lines, means more than one line, then you can use a multiple line comment section. Multiple line comment section starts with the slash star, ends with the star slash. So my suggestion is, please use documentation section in every C program. That we will discuss in future. No problem. Okay. So this is about documentation, which is not mandatory but recommended to use documentation. Next one is linking section. Mandatory section. Linking section is mandatory in every C program. Linking section is mandatory in every C program. What linking section contains? Linking section can be used to include necessary header file in every C program. Yes, understand the terminology. The linking section can be used to include necessary header file. I told you linking section is mandatory. If you want to see the output, at the output screen, then linking section is mandatory. If you want to see the result, we are solving problem, and we need to see the output at the output screen. We need to see the result, correct or not? If you want to see the result, then you need to use linking section. Linking section is mandatory in every C program, and the linking section can be used to include necessary header file in the present program. Necessary header file only. No need to include all the header files. We have nearly multiple header files, like 20, 30, like that header files are there. But no need to use all the header files. So necessary header file should be included in the present program. Sir, what is meant by header file and what it contains, and which header file is mandatory in this program, correct or not? These are the things you must understand. What is meant by header file? Generally, header file contains dot extension h, some name with dot extension h. So what this header file contains, sir? Header files contains meanings or the definition of. Header files contains meanings or definitions of predefined function. So what is meant by predefined function? You see, functions are classified into two types: predefined function, user-defined function. Predefined function, user-defined function. This topic we will discuss later. Okay, this topic we will discuss later. So every predefined function, for example, printf is a function because it contains, these are parenthesis brackets, correct or not? Some name which contains open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis, then it becomes function. Printf function. Suppose scanf function because it contains function brackets. getch function. CLR, SCR function. These are called few predefined functions. This topic we will discuss very clearly in the future. But remember, printf, scanf, getch, CLR, SCR. These are called predefined function. What is meant by predefined? Predefined means which is already defined. Predefined function means it is already defined. Where it is defined? In the header file. So header files contains meanings or definitions of predefined functions like printf, scanf, getch, CLR, SCR. The importance of these predefined functions we will discuss later. So now we are going to discuss about only structure of a C program. Right or not? So linking section is mandatory in every C program. It is used to include necessary header file in every C program. Each header file contains dot extension h. For example, stdio.h. For example for header file is linking header file is stdio.h. So stdio is some name, dot extension h. So it contains dot extension h. That's why it is called as header file. First point. Header file contains dot extension h. stdio.h or conio.h. So it is also one of the header file. So stdio stands for standard input output header file, which contains the meaning of standard input function. The name itself represents. stdio stands for standard input output header file, which contains, I told you header files contains definitions of predefined functions, right or not? So standard input output header file contains the meaning of standard input function. I for input, O for output. So stda, standard input output header file, contains meanings or the definition of standard input function and standard output function. Standard input function means scanf is input function, standard input function. Printf is called standard output function. Printf is called standard output function. So standard input function like scanf and standard output function like printf, the definitions are available in the header file stdio.h. Means if you want to use either printf or scanf in your C program, if you want to use, remember this point very clearly, if you want to use either printf or scanf in your C program body, in your C program, then you must use the necessary header file that is called stdio.h. Suppose if your program doesn't contains any printf or scanf, then there is no need to use stdio.h. I told you, that's why linking session can be used to include only necessary header files. So in every C program we are going to use printf. Printf can be used to print some information at the output screen, that we will discuss later, no problem. Input output concept, okay. But remember, in every C program we need to use at least one printf to display some result at the output screen. To display some result at the output screen. How to use printf, that we will discuss now, no problem. So in every C program we are going to use at least one printf to display result at the output screen. So if you want to use a printf function in your C program, then the corresponding header file that is called standard input output header file must be included in every C program. Without using header file also you can write C program, correct or not? Yes, but you cannot see output. There is no meaning for the program. If there is no output, there is no meaning for the program. So if you want to see the output at the output screen, you must use output function that is called printf. And if you want to use it, it is a predefine function. And if you want to use printf in your C program, then you must include the header file stdio.h. Then second header file is conio.h. Conio.h means console input output header file. Console input output header file. So what is meant by console? Console means related to output screen. Related to output screen, and it contains the meaning or the definitions of getch and clr. So if you want to use either getch or clr in your C program body, then you must include header file conio.h. Regarding header files we will discuss later, no problem. Okay, remember. So this is about linking section, and how to include header file in the present program. If you want to include header file in the program, then it must be included by using hash include. Suppose I am going to use printf. Printf is a predefine function. The meaning is available in the header file stdio.h. So we must include stdio.h, right? So hash include less than symbol stdio.h. Or one more method of including header file in the program is hash include double quotation stdio.h. You can verify both of these, okay. So in every C program at least you need to use one printf function to print the result at the output screen. Printf is called a predefine function. The meaning is available in the header file. All predefine functions are defined in any one of the header file. So printf is available in the header file stdio.h, and if you want to use printf in this present program, you must include the header file stdio.h. I am taking some time, don't worry, okay, because this topic is very important, okay. So that is the second point. Linking section is mandatory. Third one is, shall I erase this? Yes. Third one is definition section, which is not mandatory. Definition section is not mandatory in every C program. What it contains, what definition section contains? The name itself represents definition, defining. Yes, definition section can be used to define symbolic constants. To define symbolic constant. What is meant by symbolic constant? The value which cannot be changed is called constant. Correct or not? Suppose Gautam Buddha statue is there, which cannot be moved, which cannot be changed, right? That is called constant. Like that, the value which cannot be changed is called constant. The value which can be changed is called variable. Variable means which varies its value, which changes its value. So, definition section can be used to define symbolic constants. What is meant by symbolic? We know in mathematics you have a symbol like pi. Symbol pi. You know the value of pi is 22/7 or 3.14, something like that. So, is it possible to change the value of pi? No, this value is already fixed. We don't have any right to change the value of this pi value. So, if you want to use this type of constants in your program, so that type of constants must be defined in the definition section, that is after the linking section. Got my point? This is called symbolic constant. The value of pi is always 3.14. We cannot change the value of pi. So if you want to use this type of constants in your program, you can define this type of constants in the definition section. We are going to write programs by using symbolic constants also in the future. Don't worry, but understand the structure of a C program. So every program no need to use symbolic constant. That's why I told you definition section is not mandatory, because every program doesn't contains use of symbolic constant. So, sir, I want to use, sir. Suppose I told you write a program to find area of the circle. The formula to find area of the circle is pi r square. Means if you want to find the area of circle, you need to know the value of pi. Suppose area of circle equal to area equal to pi r square. So if you want to find the value of area, you need to know the value of pi and you want to use the value of r. Correct or not? So here you are going to use value of pi. So this type of program, you are going to use the symbolic constant pi. So if you want to use symbolic constant in your program body, it must be defined in the definition section. And if you want to use definition section, you need to use like hash define space pi. Keyboard doesn't contains pi symbol. That's why you can use pi, any name. It may be pi, it may be capital Pi pi, it may be small pi pi, any name you can use, no problem. The thing is, whatever symbol you are going to use here, that value cannot be changed in the program. That we will, if you want to try to change the value of symbolic constant, compiler shows an error, that we will discuss, no problem. Okay, with the programmatically. So pi space the value of pi 3.14. So this is the way of defining a symbolic constant. Hash define space symbolic constant name space symbolic constant value. And I told you clearly, definition section is not mandatory in every C program. Global declaration section. Again, it is not mandatory. What is meant by global declaration? What we can declare in the global declaration? Declaration means here you can declare variable and function also, no problem. What is meant by global variable? Variable means if you declare a variable means it can store a value, that we will discuss in the next class. So here you can declare variables. What is meant by variable? It can store a value. Variable is an entity which can store a value. If you declare a variable before the main function, that is called global variable. If you declare a variable before the main function, that is called global variable, and that global variable can be used in multiple functions. That variable can be used in multiple. Global variable is also called as public variable. Global variable is also called as public variable. Public variable can be used in multiple functions. This topic we will discuss later, no problem. No need to worry about the global variable declaration. Then main function. Yes. Every C program must and should contains main function. Main function represents start of a C program. Main function represents start of a C program. Without main function, you cannot execute a program, you cannot compile a program. Yes. Main function represents start of a C program. So, main function is mandatory in every C program. Behind main, it should be some parenthesis brackets. Parenthesis brackets represent symbol for function. So every function, the primary condition of a function is every function should return some value. This functions topic, this topic you can understand in the functions topic until the time you remember main means void main. Void means nothing or null. Instead of void, you can also use any one of the basic data type like int, float, char, like that also you can use. But until functions discussion, until functions topic, you just remember main function means void main. Void represents return type of the function. Void represents return type of the function. This return type you can understand in the functions topic. Don't worry. Main function means you need to remember void main function blindly. No need to remember other things. Okay? Main function. Main function is always followed by the open curly brace. Open curly brace is always followed by the closed curly brace. These are the mandatory things. Main function is always followed by the open curly brace. Open curly brace is always followed by the closed curly brace. The space between open curly brace and closed curly brace is called body of the main function. This is called body of the main function. This is called body of main function. Body of the main function. The space between open curly brace of the main function and closed curly brace of the main function is called the body of the main function. Body of the main function. The body of any function. It may be main function. In future you are going to write functions by using your name or any name. Okay. So the body of any function. Each function contains definition. Each function contains definition. This total is called main function definition. This is called main function definition. This is called body of the main function. Body of the main function. The body of any function. It may be main function. It may be some user. It may be some other function. The body. This is called body of other function, right? This is called body of the main function, right? So the body of any function contains two parts. The body of any function contains two parts. One is declaration part. Second one is executable part. Declaration part, executable part. So the body of main function contains two parts. One is declaration part. Second one is executable part. Declaration part can be classified into two types. User defined function declaration. User defined function declaration. Variable declaration. So remember one thing. Until functions topic, we are not going to use user defined function. That we will discuss later. If you don't declare user defined function, then there is no meaning for user defined function definition. If there is a declaration, user defined function declaration, then user defined function definition must be needed. If there is no user defined function declaration, then there is no need to use the user defined function definition. Until functions, we are not going to use user defined function topic. That's why I am not going to declare user defined function. If there is no user defined function declaration, there is no need of user defined function definition, which exists after the main function generally. Which exists after the close of the main function generally. So I am not going to use user defined function declaration. That's why I am not going to use user defined function definition. At the time of functions, we will discuss about this topic. Next one is variable declaration. Yes, I told you clearly, variables topic comes in the next topic, next class. So variable means which can store only one value and whose value can be changed. So in this program, I am not going to use variable. Okay, if you declare a variable inside the main function or any function, that variable is called local variable. Remember this point. If you declare a variable outside the main function, that is called a global variable. Global variable is also called as public variable. public variable can be used in multiple functions. That means if you declare a variable here, you can use in main function, you can use in user defined function, no problem. If you declare a variable in main function, suppose, that is called a local variable. Local variable is also called as a private variable, and the private variable can be used inside that function only. Suppose if you declare a variable inside the main function, that variable is valid inside the range of main function body only. That local variable, also called a private variable, cannot be used outside the function. That we will discuss in the future, no problem. Okay, so I am not going to use variable declaration. Then executable part. Generally these variables are going to use in the executable part. Executable part contains real statements which compiler is going to execute. The compiler is going to execute, like printf hello world, c equal to a plus b calculations. All these comes under executable statements. So finally close of the main function. This is the structure of a C program. Now here one by one step I am going to write a program. Now this is the structure of a C program. For this structure I am going to write a program to print a message hello world. To print a message hello world. I want to print a message hello world. What this structure? So I told you, if you want to write a C program, it must follow the structure of a C program. Remember this point. If you want to write a program, every C program must follow the structure of a C program. So what is the structure of a C? First one is document session. I told you clearly, document session contains documentation about the program, about the author. Author means the person who is writing the program. Document session is not mandatory, but I told you better to use, recommended to use document session in every C program. And document session is also called as comment session, and you can use two types of comments in every C program: single line comment, multiple line comments, and I am going to use a single line comment which starts with double slash. Documentation, in documentation we can write about the program and about the other. I want to write about the program. What is my program? I want to print some message. Hello world. That I am writing casually. Printing some message. This program gives printing some message. Okay, printing some message. Documentation is over. Then linking session. I told you clearly, linking section is mandatory in every C program if you want to see the result at the output screen. I told you every C program contains at least one predefined function that is called printf to see the result at the output screen. If you want to use printf is called a predefined function. It is called a standard output function. And if you want to use printf in your C program, the corresponding header file must be included. So blindly you can use #include stdio.h in your C program blindly. So #include stdio.h stands for standard input output header file, which contains the meaning of standard input function that is called scanf and standard output function that is called printf. So if you want to use either printf or scanf in your C program, then it must be included in the present program. So I told you in every C program we are going to use printf function. So you must use #include stdio.h blindly, no problem. Then definition section can be used to define symbolic constants like pi. In this program I am not going to use any symbolic constant. I am not going to do any calculations. Just I am going to print some message. Okay. So then document definition is not mandatory. So I am not going to use any global declaration section. So next one is main function. I told you main function is mandatory in every C program, and I told you clearly void main function until functions topic. Void main function. Small letters. Okay. Void is a keyword. It must mean lowercase. Void main function. I told you main function is always followed by the open curly brace, and open curly brace is always followed by the closed curly brace. The space between open curly brace and closed curly brace is called the body of the main function. In this body you can write any number of statements. I told you the body of any function contains two parts: declaration part, executable part. So here I am not going to use any declarations, variables or functions. So next one is executable part. Now real program starts from main function. And compiler executes program from the main function only. So what you are going to do? I am going to print some message hello world. My message is hello world. So if you want to print some message at the output screen, you must use printf function. How to use printf? You see, printf. Function means function brackets, open parenthesis, close the parenthesis. Printf, open parenthesis. What the message you are going to print? Hello world. That must be written inside the double quotation of the printf. Double quotation start. Hello world. Double quotation close. Then function bracket open here. Function bracket close here. Semicolon. Semicolon represents end of the statement. Every statement must ends with a semicolon in C program. So how to use printf? Remember, if you want to print some message, that message should be included, should be inside the double quotation of printf function. Double quotation of printf function. So this is the first program to write a C program. Who written this program? Human being, user. I am the user, right? I have written this program, right? We are called users. I told you clearly, user can write a program by using user understandable language. That is called high level language. Generally, high level language exists in the form of English alphabets, correct? These are called English alphabets. So this program is called high level language program. Already we discussed steps in compiling, creating and executing a C program. So first of all, we need to create a program by using text editor. Assume this is the C text editor. I have created the program. After creating program, what we need to do? We need to save the program. F2 button you can use to save the program. You can go to file, save option, or you can use F2 button. It comes to a box like that. So I am going to save this program by pressing F2 button. If it is Windows operating system, okay. I am discussing about Windows operating system. So I am saving this program hello.c. Hello with the dot extension must be C, because .c represents it is a C program. So after writing program, this program is called, the program which is created by the user is called the source program, also called as high level language program, because it has written by the user. User can write a program by using user understandable language, that is called high level language. In the previous class we discussed about computer languages. Computer languages are two types: high level language, low level language. High level language means the language which is easily understandable by the human being or user of the computer is called high level language. High level language program cannot understand with a machine. So machine can understand only machine level language. Correct or not? That's enough. Okay. So I save this program by hello.c. Okay. Think casually. Generally, this high level language program cannot understand by the computer. We are writing this program inside the computer, in the computer. Finally, computer must understand this program, otherwise computer cannot execute. Computer cannot show the output. So this high level language program should be understandable by the computer. Means someone has to translate high level language program that is written by the user into computer understandable language program. Correct or not? Yes. In the previous class we discussed about translator. Translators are two types. Translator means it is a program which translates one language program into another language program. One language program into another language program. Translator, I told you. Translator is a program which translates one language program into another language program. So translators are two types: compiler, assembler. We are going to use compiler. Compiler is a translator which translates high level language program into, or user understandable language program into, machine understandable language program. Machine understandable language program which contains only zeros and ones. Yes. Computer understands any information, and that should be in the combination of zeros and ones only. Means compiler has to translate English language program into zeros and ones level program. Correct or not? So I need to call compiler. Is it possible to call compiler, hello compiler, please come? Not possible. So if you want to interact with compiler, if you want service of help of compiler, you need to use commands only. So that command is called Alt F9. That command is called, shall I erase this? Yes, I am going to erase this program. So this is called base program. So this is called high level language program, source program. So someone has to translate compiler. I need compiler support. So to activate compiler, I am going to press Alt F9. Alt F9. When you press, after writing this program, when you press Alt F9 from the keyboard, compiler understands. User wants my service. Then compiler activates and it tries to translate. This high level language program into machine understandable language program which understands zeros and ones. While translating, first of all, before translating English language program into zeros and ones level language program by the compiler, first of all, compiler checks for the errors. If there exists any error, compiler does not convert high level language program into machine understandable language program. So before compiler translating high level into machine level, which contains zeros and ones, first of all, compiler checks for the errors. If there exists any error, compiler displays errors to the user. As a human being, as a user of the program, we need to rectify the error. After the program becomes error free, then compiler translates high level language program into zeros and ones level language program. Assume this is the zeros and ones level language program, and it renames the program name as hello.obj. OBJ stands for object program. At the same time, this object program should be given to the linker. By the compiler, linker links this object program with the header file. Yes, after linking this object program with the header file only, then compiler produces .exe file, hello.exe, which contains also zeros and ones. .exe file can be created after linking object program with the header file. Without linking header file, compiler cannot understand the meaning of printf function. That we will discuss later, no problem. So when you press Alt F9, compiler shows errors to the user. If the program becomes error free, it converts .c program into .obj. At the same time, .exe file, we can execute .exe file. That is called executable file. So you can observe in the drive regarding .obj file and .exe file. We will see that practically. Okay. Now we have .exe file. So first step is, after writing program, I need to press Alt F9. Alt F9 is for compilation. Compilation means compiler translates high level language program into zeros and ones level language program. It produces .obj file and .exe file. Now .exe file we can execute the program by using Control F9. Control plus F9 or Alt R. Here also Alt C. Alt R means, Control F9 means execution. When you press Control F9, Control F9 is for execution, runner activates. When you press Alt F9, compiler activates, which translates English language program into machine level language program. So while compiler translating high level into zeros and ones level program, compiler does not touch the documentation, because documentation is only for user understandable purpose. If there exists any error and if there is any print is a spelling mistake also, compiler doesn't take care of documentation, because documentation is only for the user purpose, user understandable purpose, not for the computer understandable purpose. Okay, so documentation can be used anywhere in the program, that we will discuss, no problem. So after compilation, we need to press Control F9. Control F9 is for execution. Control F9 is for execution. When you press Control F9, runner activates and runner executes only body of the main function. This is called body of the main function. The space between open curly brace of the main function and the closed curly brace of the main function is called body of the main function. And runner executes only body of the main function. It contains only one statement. Yes, it comes here. Runner comes when you press Control Fn. Control Fn is for execution. Runner directly comes to first line of the main function, which contains printf. Compiler knows, runner knows, printf is called predefined function, and when runner reads printf, it goes to header file. It checks whether the header file is available or not. It opens the header file and it looks for the definition of printf. Here the printf definition is available in the stdio.h. Then it satisfies and it knows the meaning of printf through that stdio.h. Printf means runner has to print the information which exists in the double quotation as it is at the output screen. Now runner goes to output screen. It starts printing character by character. First it goes inside of the double quotation. What is the first character? H. Runner takes first character H cursor and goes second character E and it moves cursor one position right. It goes next one like L O space double O R L D cursor here. Runner prints characters at the cursor position only. Remember this point. Runner prints characters at the cursor position only. So then after D, it contains double quotation ending. So this double quotation represents second double quotation. First double quotation represents start of the message. Second double quotation represents end of the message. When runner comes to end of the message, then it goes to semicolon immediately. Semicolon represents end of the statement. When runner comes to end of the statement, it goes to next line. Next line contains end of the main function. This closed curly brace represents end of main function. This open curly brace represents start of main function. So when runner goes to end of the main function, it simply stops processing. Now output contains hello world, but we cannot see. The responsibility of runner is, I told you execute the program and execute the program only. I did not intimate display output screen, correct or not? So to see the result at the output screen, we need to use Alt F5. When you press Alt F5, it displays output screen which contains hello world. This is the structure of a C program, and this is the way of writing base program clearly. So my dear students and my dear friends, if you have any doubt, please comment so that we will try to discuss in online. Okay? And my dear students, I told a number of times, if you like this video, please subscribe and please forward this video to your friends. Share this video to your friends and ask them to subscribe. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you.